All right, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, and today I am back with another video here. So today, I wanted to do a little bit of a different video, a little bit of a discussion. Look, obviously the Flyers are struggling, and there's been a lot of different things on, you know, what's gone wrong, what hasn't gone wrong, the injuries, all that stuff. But, you know, one guy for me that I think it particularly has really struggled so far this season has been Travis Sanheim. Sanheim is a guy that, coming off of last season, he had a really, really strong, positive end to last season in a struggling year with a struggling team. Finished last year, Sanheim finished 80 games played with 31 points, 7 goals, 24 assists. And he was +9 on a really, really bad Flyers team last year. He had a really, really solid year. And it wasn't just the numbers or anything like that. The pairing of him and Ristolainen, they struggled early. They had some really good stretches throughout the year, and they seemed like they were able to kind of work off of each other. Now, this season, it's been a little bit different. Sanheim obviously was going to a contract year. He's on his last year, making $4.6 million. Going into this season, and before he signed the 8-year contract extension, I asked him about it, and basically I was like, how do you kind of feel playing with Risto? He said, we're getting there, and he said that there was still some stuff to work on and things like that, and really they haven't really been a pair, and that's the thing. I mean, going into this season, the Flyers' defense was one of the areas where I was like, I'm fine with this defense. I'm like, if you're looking at it on paper, it really isn't horrible. And especially, it was different because, I had York slotted in to make the team and all that stuff, but he's not in. Sealer is, and now, the news today of D'Angelo being banged up. The Flyers are going to have to really, call on some of these other guys if D'Angelo is going to be banged up, because that's been the problem with the defense. It's been too much of the top pair, the Provorov and D'Angelo pair, has played so much because they can't really rely on anybody else at the moment. And Sanheim's played most of the year with Braun. Ristolainen, he's been okay for playing third pair. He's been okay, and that's a very generous okay. I hate just coming out and saying a guy has been bad, but I really haven't liked Ristolainen for most of the season. Sanheim, I think, has struggled too. I mean, look, if you're looking at Sanheim right now, 22 games played, and again, we're a couple games past American Thanksgiving, but Sanheim, again, 22 games, he's only got 6 points. He's got 1 goal and 5 assists on the year, and he's a -7. Again, the Flyers are struggling. You can't really always look into plus-minus, but for a guy that was +9 last year on a really bad team, I think that's saying something. And if you're looking at the underlying numbers, the high danger chances for when Sanheim is on the ice is 59. Last year he had 274. That was the most of his career so far. And given up was only 294. Again, struggling team, but this year he's got 81 chances against already in 22 games. And if you're looking at goals, that's high danger goals for is 3, and then goals against is 9. So not really a great ratio, and it's not just Sanheim, right? I think there's been some issues with most of the defense outside of the top pair, and right, obviously just the Flyers in general. But for Sanheim, a guy that signed an 8-year deal at 6.25. Okay, you have this guy locked up for a long time now. That goes into effect next year, and look, it's still early in the season, and I don't want to harp on it too much because I do think it can change. But for right now, he's definitely been struggling, and I just haven't seen as much of that jump into the offense like I did last year. He was very active, getting into the play, getting into the rush, getting pucks in deep, and I just haven't really noticed that this year. And to me, one of my biggest gripes with Sanheim is he's listed at 6'3", and he doesn't use the body. And I know he's skinnier, he's a lankier defenseman, more of a puck moving offensive type. But when you're 6'3", you got to use the body sometimes, and he really gets knocked off the puck. And it's not like we haven't seen this before. I think this has been like the past couple of years, especially in the 2020-21 season with Phil Myers, you saw this a lot where they both got bumped off the puck a lot. And again, I do think this can work out, and I'm okay with the contract. I mean, at this point, it's not looking great, but I mean, really, what is at the moment for the Flyers? But again, I think some of this can turn around, and honestly, towards the end of the season last year, he's played. He played really well, and he didn't really get much of a shot on the power play. That was the one area where everybody was like, well, maybe we can give Sanheim a look here. And we haven't really seen that much either. He's played second unit with two defensemen, him and Provorov, and D'Angelo's obviously been the quarterback on the first unit. But as for the most part, I'd like to see, him kind of step up a little bit now. I mean, with D'Angelo banged up a little bit, and, you having to rely so much on your first pair, it's not going to really get the Flyers anywhere. And if there's one thing that can be a positive moving forward for this team, it's getting the most out of these guys. And I think Tortorella can help in that area. And for a guy like Sanheim, I think it's workable where you can get him to play to the level that he was last year. I don't really think playing with Braun helps, but I will say the last game against the Islanders on Saturday night, I thought him and Ristolainen did a very good job, and I thought they were one of the better pairs in that game for the Flyers. So hopefully that's a positive sign moving forward. But, again, as for Sanheim, I just want to see more of that, kind of playing a little like fierce, having that kind of like grit to your game, and not as much like being physical and hitting and all that stuff. We have enough of those guys. Use your skill and use your offense to create some offense for this team that isn't going to generate many goals. So that's kind of where I'm at with Sanheim. So let me know your guys' thoughts below. I'm curious what everybody's kind of thinking, because I feel like it's been something that hasn't really been talked about as much, honestly. But yeah, again, let me know. Again, podcast dropped last night with Bill Matz. You can check that out. Episode 19, that's on audio, that's on Spotify, it's on Apple, it's also the full episode is on YouTube. The Joel Farabee raffle tickets for the Flyers fan club, you can check them out as well. And yeah, thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you all soon.